Very soon, we'll have that expensive loose Jenga tower known as the new Star Wars movie, and the looming disaster known as Cats on the same day. Before I dive into my argument, I think I need to give a bit of backstory. T.S. Eliot wrote some poems collected as Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. He was approached by the Disney company to adapt it into an animated movie, but he passed. Well, it might have been a good thing since Disney hasn't had the best track record with cat movies.
Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Fuyang. Fortune cookie always wrong.
After his death, Andrew Lloyd Webber asked Eliot's widow about adapting his work into a musical. She loved the idea, and it eventually became Cats. It was a huge hit in the 1980s, both in London and in New York City. At its time, it was not just the longest running musical of all time, but even Steven Spielberg wanted to make it into an animated movie. He was so attached to the project that he even wanted to direct. I would have been more than interested to see how he would have dealt with an animated musical that had hand-drawn animation, but it was cancelled due to Spielberg's animation division at the time going bankrupt. It was then decided to adapt a high-budgeted stage version and release it on home video in the late 90s. This is where many people like myself got exposed to this in the first place. I remember watching this back in music class in middle school and I laughed with half the class. Then I rediscovered it and I actually enjoy it. So much that I went to go see it in Chicago last summer and I loved it. But days before I did so, the trailer for the new big budget version was shown online and we all know how that went. At least Paramount Pictures had enough time to fix whatever the hell that thing was, but it seems like this movie is just gonna be stuck in the uncanny valley. After thinking about it for a while, my biggest issue with the design of these things is that they're just too small. Sure, there were some props that played in how small they were in the play, but they reminded me of those Lilliputians that Dr. Pretorius was showing off in Bride of Frankenstein.
This isn't science. It's more like black magic.
You said it, Dr. Frankenstein. You said it. The other issue, of course, would be the cast. Much of them seem like the typical Hollywood checklist of who is semi-relevant at the time. And if you saw my spoof video, you know how much I don't like Taylor Swift.
Dirty hoe.
But one complaint that I have for this movie that hasn't really been addressed is Jennifer Hudson as Grizabella. She is a good singer, but she feels miscast. The best singers who have played her have had great singing voices, but they had much vulnerability and sadness to reflect their character's personality, which is a big reason why her song is the most well remembered. But Hudson's voice is too powerful and clean to where it sort of contradicts the character and personality. So why is this older and cheaper version superior than this expensive and newer take? Well, the main thing was that there was a bit of a charm to it. You could enjoy the song and dance numbers, but you could also laugh at how ridiculous it was. But compare that to the other one where it seems to produce either confusion or nightmares. The costumes were silly and provided good escapism, but trying to make them all CGI inspires terror. The other is that they got professional singers and dancers as the cast of the movie. None of them were household names, but they were the most qualified for their parts. Rather than this one that seems to mirror more of those gimmicky ensemble cast movies that no one remembers anymore. Maybe I'll look into the new one when it arrives on home video, but as for its theatrical release, I'm gonna dodge it like an unclean litter box. So anyway, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.